Greetings, fellow Demon Slayers. This is Taimanin Mari here today with another Action Taimanin video. And for today, we're going to talk about the weekly update or the lack thereof. So, the patch notes literally say nothing but maintenance complete. So, we literally got nothing. Let's talk about what we no longer have. We no longer have any Nui gacha, so I hope you guys who wanted her got her. And Nui's bride skin, as well as anything related to her gacha, is no longer in the Desire shop as well. Outside of that, bride skins are now gone from the store, so I hope everybody brought the wedding skin that they wanted, because Ark sure didn't get Morisaki's skin, and now his Morisaki feels like there's something wrong with her because the love of her life didn't ask her for her hand in marriage. So yeah, outside of that, there's really nothing to say. It kind of sucks. I mean, we still have this event up, but I'm sure most people have it done by now. Like, I haven't even used a single AP pot, and I'm about done with it. And I'd imagine we'll maybe get story next week, but that's just going to be kind of a one and done thing for most people for the gyms, and then outside of that, we'll go back to really having nothing to do. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in regards to AT. I feel like they kind of like they fostered all this hype with the Waifu War event. Like, not that it was just about the waifus. I mean, it was. Like, Kirara and Ingrid were very hype. But now that they're out, both of them are kind of like letdowns, if I'm being honest. They're not really the greatest characters ever, and they have no sustain. So, they fall into that they're good everywhere, but really, really hard content. But that's kind of where we want our characters to be useful for bonus stages and what have you. But they're not really what I'm getting into. More what I'm getting into is stuff like the tower. How like this could have been so much content for the game if they had just let it repeat. And at this point, like since it's almost been 2 months, I don't think that's happening. And I just don't have words. Like this is just wasted content at this point. They've kind of left us like in the middle of nowhere without a pot to piss in. If you finish Tower already, like, great, you're done with Tower. You now have nothing to do. And this was stamina-free content, so it literally was like everything we wanted, and then they just took it away. Because you can't repeat any of these maps, so it's done, then that means you're done. It's over for you. Now, I understand there are still lots of people who are playing through the Tower, and it's not to make you guys feel rushed or anything, but I do think this could have been better with a monthly reset because there's just nothing to do in the freaking game. Like, especially with this 3 week event rotation now, it's so drab and dull. Like the game to me is literally as boring as it was back in November, and I hate to sound like negative or, too direct about it, but yeah, it's very boring right now. Ark isn't even playing the game. He literally logs in and logs out. Like he's not even bothering to even do his dailies. He just finishes the event and then leaves the game alone because there's just literally nothing to do. And it sucks because there's like no rewarding content. Like once you have a nice, amount of Magatama, you don't really need to be dicking around in time attacks. So this becomes dead content like as your account matures. You'll only really use it when you want to build up a new character. Events are fine because they're fresh, but now with a 3 week timer, it's going to turn into you'll either get it done really fast or take your time going through the boxes, but it's just not much to do. And the bonus stage is a nice addition, but let's face it, it's just three more runs of something, and then you're back to nothing to do because the bonus stage suffers from the same thing as Tower, where you can't repeat runs. So it's literally a one and done thing, which just sucks. And I'm trying to figure what their plans are for the game because they gave us nice systems. Like we do have this whole awakening system now, which is a nice system. I like it. It's neat, but without Tower, we can't really get gems to abuse it, so it's kind of dead content at this point. Like once you awaken your first three characters, that's it. I think like with the awakening gems they've given us, like I think I would have enough to awaken. Let me go down here and look at them to be sure. Yeah, so I could awaken two more characters like to 81 with these. So for example, like this would be Emily, I could awaken her with this, and this would be Yuki. So they'd both be 81. And then with what's left over from this little awakening box from the waifu event, this crystal kit, I would be able to get one more character, I believe, to like awakening one with 1 star, and then I would be out. And the reason I'm not using them is because I'm worried about who could potentially come next. Like, so I don't want to awaken Emily and Yuki and then need these greens and reds later, because if Shizuru comes out, I'll definitely want to awaken her, but with my luck, Shizuru will probably be blue like Kirara. But anyway, like, back on point, not not having a way to farm these crystals, it just leaves the whole game feeling a bit stagnant. Like, I just wish that they had more of a game plan with these new systems, because they added great systems to the game that we can't really implement, like, to any sort of extent, and it sucks. We have a whole 50 floors of content here that you can't even replay, and it sucks. Like, even if the rewards weren't repeatable, I would just love to be able to come in here and in theory craft builds. It would be so much content for the channel to just show off like tower runs, because like I just ran through it with Yuki because I wanted to get it done, and it didn't occur to me that I wouldn't be able to repeat the maps. Like, I just was like, yeah, let's get it done with Yuki because she can do it. And now that it's done, it's like crap. Well, all that content is ripped through, and I have nothing to do. And I wish they would like move away from the weekly update model, because what they do is they do like a lot of tiny updates, and it's not enough content to really last you the week in most cases. So the game just left feeling really stagnant, and it shows with like player population. The game isn't really heavily populated, and I would like the game to be growing, not stagnating like it seems to be doing. We do get a lot of new players, but it seems like for every new player we get, like a whole bunch more older players just move on and go to stuff like Genshin and Honkai. I wish they would do more like what Honkai did, because I think in Honkai an update is like once every month and a half. It's like just over a month you get an update in Honkai, but the updates are, they have that whole month to put stuff out. So they're so big, you're literally never bored of the game and you always have something to do until like the gameplay loop itself stagnates, but there's a lot to do in that game. And I wish that AT would kind of follow suit, because like with the prices the game has, let me just yeah, so we'll go to Kirara. Okay, so like with how much these bundles cost, we'll go to Ingrid. Like that's a really high price point. It's almost $50 a character. And the same thing with the gacha. Like the gacha is so expensive at this point. Like you're really gonna have to put out to get what you want in this game. And unless you get super lucky, you're gonna have to deal with the desire system. And with how desire works, it's roughly like 200-ish bucks for each desire pull, because you have to like do so many pulls in the gacha, and then have a thousand gems left over to even snag the thing with the desire points you'll be getting. So overall, it turns into a very expensive experience for people who are putting money into the game, and it turns into a very like unrewarding experience for people who aren't putting money into the game, because they may use all their free to play savings and not get what they want because the gacha pool is so stagnant at this point. So with that being said, like for how expensive the game is, economy wise for all players, you think there'd be more to do, because they're charging us like the game is some sort of monopoly or premium. Like it's insanely expensive, but there's no content to really use this stuff in. I don't count Arena as a game mode, because for anyone in Global, this is effectively a dead mode now, where you just come here for your weekly Arena coins, and then outside of that, it's a gem generator, because, what is it? I believe 6,000 points? Yeah, you get to top class for your 75 gems, and like anything above top class is pretty much hopeless to most people, especially since the server merge. So I don't know, guys. I didn't mean to make this a rant video, but let's face it, there's really nothing to talk about. The patch notes are empty, the update is empty. we're stuck farming Aina for another 2 weeks, and outside of a potential story release, which won't last us that long, it'll maybe be like an hour, hour and a half of gameplay if you let the dialogue and voices play. It's just getting to a point there isn't much to do, and like it sucks. It really does because like I adore Taimanin as a franchise, and the only thing I really look forward to in this game is characters. But once I get the characters, it's just I max them out because I get the characters that I want specifically. They're maxed out, and then there's really nothing to do. And then the hype around the characters dies because the characters as of late just haven't been great. It seems like all the legacy characters, like, or I don't want to say legacy characters, but older characters. So like things like Nui, things like Emily, things like Yuki, they're like really, really strong in comparison to stuff we've gotten later. Like the only exception was Koronai. Koronai is a later character that's absurdly good. But like everyone else, and I know people are gonna probably be salty to hear this, but they're kind of all lackluster. There's things I like about, newer characters, like I like the hybrid nature or potential of Asuka. I like the damage she can put out, but no sustain kind of makes her something that I don't really want to pick up. It's the same thing for Ingrid. I like Ingrid. I like her in and out play style and her high damage output, but no sustain kills any one of her. Kirara I simmed for initially, and I'll be playing her regardless of the fact that she sucks, like I said I would, but she does suck. She's an awful character. Her kit is trash, like even compared to Ingrid. I think Ingrid is 1,000 times better than Kirara. Morisaki's good, and that's probably my next purchase. Because I do like Muchan, it's just, now that she's really good, I'd have a reason to get her. And same thing with Koronai, but outside of like a select few characters, it seems like all the later ones have just been so lackluster, it almost makes it like it's punishing to even go for a character because we don't know if they're going to be terrible or not. And oh man, it's just so put downing. It's like, I like AT, but we just have to see what'll happen. I don't even know what's going on here. I feel like my game froze up. That's great. I'm going between menus and... Oh, cool. The game kicked me from the server. Well, I guess that's a good way to end the video. The game kicked me out because I wasn't being positive about the game. But, it sucks to hear, like, when I talk to Ark about the game and he literally says stuff like, oh, well, I'm just here to see the ship crash and burn. Because that's literally his reasoning for playing AT at this point, is he just wants to see it, like, see how it dies, because that's what he thinks is going to happen. And I hate to say it, but things aren't looking too great, at least as far as I can see, because the population isn't that high, and I know a lot of global players have been turned off by the game. Like, my server is a big example. There were a bunch of people that were around when the server, when the Discord server went up for that me and Sin made, and now it's like a lot of those people are gone. And we do have a consistent group of people, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole lot more people that were really consistent and always there to talk about AT that just moved on, especially like with stuff like the heavy package. It killed a lot of people's, morale in the game, and that was Christmas time. Christmas overall killed a lot of the player population for like people who started day one. And like there have been people retaining, but it's just not enough, man. And at this point, like I don't know what to say because they're obviously sticking to their model of a lot of small updates. So we'll just have to see what they do in the future. But my biggest advice, like as an immediate fix to the having nothing to do, is to just reset the damn tower. And I don't know, man. Outside of resetting tower, like I don't know what they could possibly do. I think maybe a boss rush mode is in order, but at this point, like I'm just kind of like throwing suggestions that the devs will probably never take or never hear, and I don't know, man. Moral of the story: Kirara sucks, and I'm depressed. But we'll see what happens next week. As far as this week, just keep farming and try not to be so bored or burned out. Like I know the hype really fell over and hit itself in the face and landed in a pile of dog poo on the sidewalk when the Waifu War ended because it was just super hype and now it's not. And, not for nothing, the title screen, I never stopped to look at it, but I really like this particle effect. This is really nice, neat and pretty. Like it's like red and blue. It looks all nice, especially like for this area, how we have this glow coming off the screen. So this title screen slaps. Either way, that's going to be the video. I have nothing else to say. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the game in the comments because, like, I'd like to think I'm not alone in my complaints. Like, I'd like to think other people want to see more for the game too and see them be more ambitious about it. It almost feels like they're like playing it safe, but they're playing it super safe. Like they don't even want to take a risk and deviate. And it's like the one time they did deviate with Tower and added something amazing, it's like they almost like backpedaled, like, okay, let's back away from that. And at the very least, like if they don't refresh the Tower, some of these bugs need to be fixed, like I was talking about yesterday. There's so many bugs in the game right now since Tower was added. I'm surprised they're still persisting. So we'll see what comes next week. And with that, try to keep farming. You guys have a great rest of your day. Good luck in all facets of the game, and just try to stick with it and not get bored, because the worst thing you can do with gacha is stop and then fall behind. So, with all that, you boys and gals take care, and I'll catch you tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.